Welcome to the Lorehounds. I'm Elysia.
And I'm Jean, and this is the MCUniverse breakdown of the 2024 movie Deadpool versus Wolverine. The end of the Fox Marvel universe.
We've got another Lorehound on the line right now also. Hi, John.
Fourth wall break.
He'll be joining us for our hot takes and a special Comic Con segment of Marvel News.
And then Elysia and I will get into the full film breakdown, covering all those core cameos and how the characters and lore introduced in this movie might affect the MCU going forward.
Then stay tuned at the end for a look at Marvel and other comic coverage coming up, plus what else is going on in the network.
And as always, we want to hear from you about this movie and everything else Marvel. Just shoot us an email at mcu@thelorehounds.com with any of your thoughts. You can also attach a voicemail or send it through our website, thelorehounds.com/contact. And we'll drop those thoughts right into our next MCUniverse episode to fuel some more Marvel discussion.
And spoilers for this movie and basically anything and everything Marvel begin now. So before we get into the Comic-Con news, which, there's definitely some things to discuss. The movie that we are here to talk about is Deadpool and Wolverine, produced by Marvel and Maximum Effort in 21 laps and distributed by Disney. So this is a film that started development under Fox Marvel and then was, when Fox Marvel was absorbed by Disney Marvel, the rights switched properties and they made this film to sort of, quote unquote, as Jean and I made a funeral for it, to kill off the Fox Marvel universe. And that's why some of my friends who didn't know this stuff is like, it was funny. I went with some friends and they were like, some of them got the like character references and some of them got the industry references, but then not the other. What was your experience watching it, guys? Did you have a crowded theater? Were you there with like friends, family?
I was solo. It wasn't very crowded at all, actually, because I went.
Really?
Yeah, because I did the first thing in the morning.
Okay, that'll do it.
purposely avoid the crowds.
Smart.
Yeah, so the few people that were there, at the appropriate times, we all, laughed and gasped and
right.
did exclamations and things of that nature. So it was a cool experience.
Yeah. And what about you, John?
I went on a Friday night at 9:00.
Okay, prime time.
Alone, but I was with Jean really in my heart,
right?
And we were together in a way, and it was the most packed I've ever seen that movie theater. Now, the theater itself was not super packed, but also I went to go see it in Screen X, which is, I guess, a new thing that Regal's doing, where, how IMAX like expands up and down vertically. Well, Screen X is like in post. They take whatever other camera angles and they put it in like, it's felt like 720p.
Yeah,
on the
they
walls.
used to do that like way back in like the 20s. They used to do what was it, like a panoramascope, cinemascope, something. Anyway, yeah.
Well, that was what I was watching. I would not recommend. It was fun. Like it didn't detract, but I never felt the need to look left or right because it was so low resolution that it would just take me out of it.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I was kind of baffled by how low resolution it was, actually.
I mean, I guess because it wasn't filmed that way, so they had to like do some.
This is Regal doing its post whatever thing,
right.
But I mean, it didn't detract from the movie, and I liked the movie enough to come on an MCU podcast. So it's, basically Paradox scooped me up and said, "Your podcast is dying. Will you come to this other podcast?"
I mean, not only that, but you afterwards you came back and like started watching. Well, you started watching the X-Men animated series, which is also a tribute to X-Men '97. But you're like, no, I'm finally getting into Marvel.
Yeah, and then I tried to read a comic, and then all that did was make me go read the One Piece manga. But that's okay.
Fair enough.
I think Jean's going to help me get into comics, and so are you.
Yeah, we'll get.
I think actually, Elysia, you sound like you have more similar taste than me because Jean wants it all.
Yes.
I mean, for me, like I said with the comics, is that I go in with a specific like there's a character I want to read everything about, or or a series that sets up a specific whatever. Like for instance, for Agatha, people might want to read the Scarlet Witch comic, Witch's Road, which and then maybe based on that, you're going to want to read more Agatha comics and blah blah blah. You just end up going down because then they'll reference other comics in the comics. It's like the MCU, and then you're like, well, now I need to know that whole story.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw it by accident in 3D.
Oh boy.
And actually, I'm really glad that I did, because I didn't realize that when I watched it in 3D, I was like, oh, this was totally filmed to be seen in 3D, which is why opening night I went to the Dolby screen. We have IMAX here, but it's too far outside the city and it's just a pain. Well, it's not outside the city. It's just in a far away part of the city. So we went to Dolby, and I didn't even realize until right before we were going that it was 3D. And
can I ask you, did you wear your glasses?
Of course.
No, I mean like
my
real
seeing glasses. Yeah. I have to.
And was it cumbersome? Because that's why I never go to see 3D movies.
Yeah, well, so I do always double up like that. And this one, because it was a Dolby 3D, they were actually thicker glasses, so they were a little bit more annoying than the regular 3D glasses. And so the only reason I always get used to it really quickly and then I forget about it. But the only thing is like they were slipping down my nose because there's like the double thick bridge.
Right.
So I was like shoving them up my nose the whole movie. But that's it. That's the only bothersome thing about it for me.
Ever since I saw Spy Kids 3D when I was like 12 years old, I've not wanted to go to a 3D movie because of the glasses.
Yeah. I think the regular ones have gotten. I actually have special. I have branded of Pate, which is it's like basically the Regal or the AMC of this part of Europe, at least. I have branded 3D glasses that I got for free because I go to the movies a lot. And they're like aviator glasses. I think they came out around the time of Top Gun Maverick.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
How very nice.
I feel fancy.
You should feel fancy.
With the logo.
I feel fancy for you. This is awesome.
All right. Well, I've interrupted you with 3D talk. So what else you got?
Oh, no, just so this one I usually go to the movies by myself because frankly, like my friends just aren't as obsessed with movies as I am, which is normal. And this is like the one where I'm like, okay, I'm cashing in my chips. Come see this film with me. So I got 4 of my friends in the end to come with me. So I got there's a big variety of like experience, and it was cool to get all their opinions on the film. Like one of them had never seen anything before.
Yeah. Oh, wow. A total newbie.
Yeah. Well, she watched Deadpool earlier this week because of this,
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That was the other thing that stuck out to me is that I didn't watch Deadpool 2. Didn't feel lost at all.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
You don't need to see
the characters, like Peter, shows up in Deadpool 2.
Yeah, I didn't get the Peter thing, but like, I just took it as a gag of like, oh, everybody has a bestie, Peter, and so they're all fans. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need to see the other movies to enjoy this movie.
No, you don't. You can enjoy it on its own because everyone took away different things. Like, that friend, she was like when the whole Chris Evans thing happened and he went flame on and everyone cheered and clapped and stuff. And she like leaned over to her boyfriend. She's like, what?
Am I in a cult?
Okay. I hear him.
Yes, yes, you are.
It's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. That killed me too. I mean, I guess we're not in hot takes yet, right?
No. Okay. Well, so I'll set it up with, so this film is directed by Sean Levy. Anyway, he's got a really varied portfolio, everything from like Night at the Museum to This Is Where I Leave You, most recently Free Guy and The Atom Project, both of which star Ryan Reynolds. So yeah, Ryan Reynolds is definitely the one who like made all Deadpool movies, including this one happen. So I think he handpicked a lot of people. It was written by a whole bunch of people: Sean Levy, Ryan Reynolds, Rhett Reese, Paul Wernick, Zeb Wells, and writing duo Wendy Molyneux and Lizzie Molyneux-Loglin. And this is a film that famously reunites Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool and Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. So it's like a revisit, a redo of Wolverine Origins, which everybody hated. This one people did not hate. It had a Rotten Tomatoes score of 78% positive reviews from the critics, 97% positive reviews, 3 stars or up from the audience, general audience. Metacritic, always a little more conservative, 56 from critics, 7.9 from the audience. And where do you guys think this falls on the Pokila scale?
This one goes.
Yeah, it's like 105.
We have to make a new scale for this one.
Yeah, it's definitely off the scale. It is something else here.
But yeah, it's R-rated, but it's broke a whole bunch of records this weekend. So it's now officially the number 1 R-rated movie of all time everywhere in the world, beating Deadpool 1. It's the 6th largest opening overall of all time in the US. Biggest global opening since Avatar: The Way of Water. Biggest opening for both stars and the director. Highest July opening weekend in the US of all time, beating The Lion King. Highest domestic opening weekend of 2024, and highest since Spider-Man No Way Home, and a whole bunch more records that it's broken, making $444 million worldwide, 211 in the US. So yeah, this film's definitely going to pass $1 billion quickly enough, I think.
That's amazing.
And yeah. And with this, MCU's now grossed more than $30 billion in total, from a combined total of 34 official MCU titles. So this doesn't count the Fox stuff or the Spider-Verse and stuff. And it's now the highest grossing franchise of all time.
Yeah, this is mind-boggling.
Yeah.
It truly is. It truly is. I was looking at those numbers and just, wanted to think to myself, why? Out of every movie, why this one at this time? So it's really an interesting deep dive.
I think it is the member berries, to be honest. And
yeah, maybe
the humor. People just want to have fun and remember better times. What do you think, John? What's your hot takes?
My hot take is that this movie is a Deadpool Wolverine movie in name, but it is really a eulogy for the Fox universe. When I was a young boy,
pulling up a chair.
I'm gonna be an old man now here. I was, I think, 5 or 6 years old when the first X-Men movie came out. I don't think I was allowed to watch it when it came out, but by the time X2 came out, I was 9, and so that was prime, primo X-Men are our cool age. I had grown up going to Chuck E. Cheese and playing the X-Men arcade game. I was always Nightcrawler, for the record, and I always thought they were the coolest heroes. I think X-Men, more than any other part of the MCU, really encapsulates what is different about the MCU or Marvel in general than DC, because it shows how flawed the heroes are. Are they heroes or are they just people trying to do their best? And I think Marvel has a lot more of that than DC. DC has these like deified heroes mostly, as far as the big hitters.
Yeah.
Agree.
And so I loved a lot of the X-Men stuff. A lot of the stuff that makes us cringe now, I didn't pick up on. I was 5 to 10 years old, right? Like, and looking back on it and being able to be like, oh wow, oh look, Blade, oh look, Elektra, all these callbacks really did hit me in the nostalgia button in a good way, because it's not like they're just bringing them back as some kind of cheap ploy. It's just, hey, this was a great project and this was fun. And just like they do the credit scene, Time of Your Life, that's it. We had a great time with it, and it's okay if not everything was a heavy hitter, but we had a great time.
I'll be honest, the credit scene made me tear up, and I think I'm the only one of my friends who felt that way, but it did vary based on how connected we were to these other films that were being referenced.
Yeah,
I mean, everyone enjoyed it, but some of us got more of an emotional hit out of it.
Right.
Yeah.
And then as far as the actual Deadpool Wolverine stuff, watching the bye scene immediately, like I walked in, I was really tired when I went there because I went at 9:20. I had a week of work and a heavy week of podcasting and childcare, put them to bed, and then I'm like, all right, do I want to go see a movie? I'm going to go see a movie. I get in there and he starts picking apart Wolverine and throwing his bones And I'm right back in, right? Like it was really a great icebreaker, I thought, because you have to be in a certain mood to enjoy a Deadpool humor, and it got me there. So great performance by Ryan Reynolds. I love all the I think the industry jokes made me laugh more than the franchise jokes. Like the whole Feige said, "Oh, we can't do cocaine. Can you chill?" Blind Al, can you chill? Great stuff.
And then just mentioning it as much as possible.
and at the same time, I really love making fun of the multiverse, because that is the thing that has most turned me off about these last couple of phases. And maybe I'm just not the target audience for that, and that's okay. I think I was the target audience for this movie. This had all the nostalgia for me. This had, this went through my childhood and early adulthood as far as movies. And now we get to say goodbye to the Fox universe, and hopefully goodbye to some strands of the multiverse. I think I might be Paradox. I think it's funny because he's supposed to be the villain, but half the time I'm over his shoulder going, "Do it.
You've been practicing the Sith voice too much. It's bleeding into your persona."
Yeah.
I like the multiverse, but I know mileage may vary. Jean, what did you think? What were your hot takes?
This was fine. Yeah, as you guys know, I'm not a Deadpool fan. I'm really not a Ryan Reynolds fan. So, those two things coupled make the Deadpool experience something that is not that I'm not the core audience for, right?
Okay.
The movie itself was a good movie. I will not say that it wasn't. I thought it was a great movie. I thought there's a lot of fun spots in it, a lot of laugh out loud spots in it. Some of the humor was just, it got a little bit too much for me at times, but it hit all the notes that it was supposed to hit. I was kind of disappointed in the ending because it didn't end what I wanted it to end. Everybody's kumbaya around the table, and I wanted everybody to be dust. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna pretend that I didn't want to see the end of all of these characters come to fruition. But it was cool to see Wesley Snipes as Blade. For me, that was the high point of the movie. To see Wesley, suit up again, and then that line when he says there's only one Blade. It's things like that, because for me that's the start of the comic book movie. In truth, it's not Batman, it's not Michael Keaton. For me, it's always going to be Wesley Snipes and Blade, and to have him come back and play that role was really that was cool. That was cool. You guys know I love the Elektra movie, so I like seeing her. I like seeing.
I didn't know that.
So. Yeah. That's one of my movies, and I like seeing Elektra there again. So yeah, those notes of nostalgia, like John said, hit. And I don't think it was overdone. You could do too much with it, and this was not too much. This was just right. So yeah, I think it's a very enjoyable movie. Not everyone is going to like it, though. It's not for everyone, because the humor, and the violence.
R.
Yeah, definitely.
Hard R with a boner joke or 20.
Yeah, or 50 or 100. So
something though that I just wanted to bring up for this discourse is there was a comment on Reddit that struck me. Somebody said the Deadpool of this movie seems less cruel than the previous Deadpools.
Oh, maybe. I guess that should make sense, because he has, even though he seems the same, he has been showing character growth. And this was of the three movies probably most focused on his character growth, maybe.
Yeah.
Probably. I think
anyway,
you're
sorry,
right.
Sorry, Jean, for interrupting the flow.
No. I think that's true. Actually, it probably was the least cruel Deadpool, and it's to your point.
Disney's
Elysia,
ruining Marvel. All right,
So, and one more part that got to me, that got to the dad in me, my 8-year-old now, he just turned 8, and this past school year, he did a dance. His class did a dance, and it was all cool, and they danced to different songs. And the closing of the show was Bye Bye Bye. So I'm sitting in the theater watching this ultra-violent Bye Bye Bye, but flashing in my mind is my kid dancing to Bye Bye Bye. And I'm like, it's to have, when a movie can keep you in, but also take you out of it in a good way.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing. And it's not, like I said, that's not going to be everyone's experience because everybody has a different experience with the song. But for me, it hit because I'm watching the movie and I'm enjoying it, but I'm also thinking of my kid dancing to this song, which is so cool when a movie can make you, feel different notes of emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in that one scene, that was really, really special for me. So, I recommend this movie. Again, this is somebody, I am not a Deadpool guy, even in the comics. But if you enjoy this irreverent type of comedy, if you like really great action sets, and if it's a cool story at that, you should go see this film.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the music was especially well used because it's not like I'm not a pop music person per se. So it's not really the stuff I listen to. Of course, I know the songs, but they were just perfectly choreographed and used at the right moments and just heighten the humor of all of the different scenes they were used in. Yeah, I think the cameos were really well deployed. Like, especially the two standouts for me is, of course, the flame on, just that reveal of like where we're all like, oh, we know it's Cap, and even though I knew that it was more likely going to be the Johnny Storm version in this movie, I knew. Yeah, but I forgot for a second just because of like, the way they showed his arm showing with like part of a costume.
Yeah. I was like, nah, it's not Cap. I said this myself. I said, nope, it's not Cap. I was like, I knew it wasn't Cap.
So well done. It was so well done. And the other one is, you guys know that I'm a Gambit girly, and I was always sad that we never got this Channing Tatum Gambit movie. So I loved
I'm not.
that.
I mean, watching this, I'm like, what?
Wait. Let me finish.
Okay.
So they gave that to me and like scratched that itch from, 20 years ago or whenever that was supposed to take place 15 years ago. And they also showed me at the same time, like, okay, that's not what I want though. But I thought that he did it perfectly. And I loved, you referenced, what's it, on the Hot D podcast or something, you referenced the line, who's your dialect coach?
Yeah, it was.
I feel like we're missing important.
Who is your dialogue coach? Like,
I feel like we're missing important exposition. The humor. There's something for everyone in the humor, even if there were way too many dick jokes for me. I just realized that part of the movie wasn't for me, but there was still so much else for me to appreciate. It was one of those ones. I felt the same about it that I felt about Spider-Man No Way Home, where I was like, this is a really fun watch. I'm glad I saw it in a theater. I recommend anyone who hasn't, who's waiting for streaming. I think the best experience is going to be a shared experience in a theater.
Yeah.
I gave it 4 stars out of 5. Yeah, so solid movie. And I just came out of it thinking like everyone's going to love this. And I'm so excited about that. I just can't wait for everyone to react to all this stuff.
Yeah, and to add to that, I did see it in a theater that was probably like half to 3/4 full, and just having people laugh along with me was really nice. Right, and especially I think one of the biggest laughs the whole time was after they're supposed to die, and then they come out to, and I don't want the world to see me. Great moment.
Yeah.
And sorry, and Tom Wambsgam then going, fuck.
Yeah, so funny story about my theater was absolutely packed. It was completely sold out because it was opening night in Dolby, in the center of the city. But yeah, I had one friend who canceled the day of, so he gave. You can just do that. You have assigned seats in the theater. You can give your ticket back, but then that seat's open. So a random person took that seat and then was sitting in the middle of my friends.
Oh no!
And my one friend came in late and didn't know that we didn't know him. He was just like, "Oh, new face, okay, whatever." Right. And he starts like trying to talk to him, and the guy's like, "I'm not with you, people."
That's like totally on cue for the movie, though.
Yeah. And then when he left, he said to my friend, "Have a nice life."
It's really funny.
Yeah. So I know, Jean, you are not a Deadpool fan. You're not a Hugh Jackman as Wolverine fan.
No.
Did this movie change any of that for you, or just no? Okay.
No.
Is it because he doesn't say bubs?
No. No. I could do without the bubs. I could do without it. I'm ready to turn the page on, and we'll talk about it coming up. I'm ready to turn the page.
Okay. Do you think that we'll actually see him regularly? Because I don't.
I don't think so. I don't think so. Maybe
he'll
pop up here and there. We will
see him again. I do think this means a delay. That I'm a little bummed we're not getting a new Wolverine soon. It looks like, but okay. Let's play this out through Secret Wars. Okay.
We could get the Cavalry.
Yeah, no. Exactly. You don't want that either?
No, I don't want that. I don't want that.
I'm not a big Henry Cavill fan.
I don't want that either.
I'm not a huge Henry Cavill fan or whatever. Like, I don't know. I have no strong feelings about the man, but
right.
That was a fun cameo for me. That was a surprise. I did not see that one coming.
No, I didn't see it
was
coming
disappointed about Daniel Radcliffe not being in it.
That would be a good comic actor.
That would be. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I really did enjoy making Hugh Jackman short for the comic.
That was probably my favorite Wolverine.
Yeah.
The film. Because that was
hey there, little guy.
I said, "Oh man, that was dropped. That had me on my knees. That was great. That was great."
So,
but it hasn't changed my opinion. It hasn't changed my opinion. Jackman can go. Ryan Reynolds, he's going to be around, so I'm stuck with him. It is what it is at this point. But yeah, I'm ready to turn the page on these characters and the people who play them. And I know that's not going to happen until maybe post Secret Wars run is over, which is 3-4 years down the line.
Yeah, 2027 allegedly.
Right. So that's what it is. It is what it is. I'm not going to not see the movies, of course, but yeah, it hasn't changed my mind on the people playing these characters. No.
Okay. What about you, John? What were your feelings about these two characters going in, and did this change it at all?
I'm sorry. I was looking forward in the outline and I zoned out for a second. Can you tell me which two characters?
Deadpool and Wolverine.
The main ones.
Yes.
I do like Deadpool. I do, but I only have movie Deadpool. Like I've never read a Deadpool comic. I've never gone back. In fact, I think I tried to read a Deadpool comic and I was like, the fourth wall breaks don't work for me in a comic setting. Right? Like I need you to be able to look at the camera to me and do it. The proposal. And so Wolverine, I mean, I always really loved the Wolverine stuff, and I do love Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, much to John's
my chagrin. Yes,
yeah, chagrin. Every time I hear that word, I think of the Twilight series, where she used it about 6,000 times. But anyway, the point is, I did like both of those characters going in. I was unsure about bringing Hugh Jackman back after what was a perfect ending with Logan. And they pulled it off. I liked them making it a completely different Wolverine. I liked that he was not like a pristine superhero. He was an alcoholic. He was haunted by whatever he did in his universe, coming back, and he's drunk and everybody died. And I thought he just matched Deadpool really well. I thought that they played well together. Their jokes were great. I love the car fight scene. Like I'm gonna fight you now. That was really fun. And one thing that somebody pointed out that I saw was that Logan is the only one who's ever gotten Deadpool to shut up.
Yeah.
Right? He got him to shut up and say, "I'm gonna fight you now," and then they just fight. He didn't have a quip for all the critiques. He was like, you know what? That one hurt, and we're going to fight.
I'm going to fight you now.
Huh.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that. You're right.
I have one of my friends I went with who's, I would say, like, I don't know, low medium Marvel fan. But he said, that he liked the previous Deadpool movies because that was like this darker take that was fresh for him. But Ryan Reynolds really started to annoy him in this one. And he was really, anytime a character told him to shut up, he was like, yes, please.
But I think that was kind of part of the point, right? Like, he was annoying the other characters, and the other characters were like, can you take this seriously for a minute? And one of the reasons that I like Deadpool, I think, is I try not to be like Deadpool, but I'm just saying this one thing of like trying to put comic relief into serious situations. That's something that I do, perhaps too much, maybe right in. But we're talking about a serious show, and I try to make a silly joke to break up the tension, and then we go back to like a more profound discussion, right? A more serious discussion. And I think that is at Deadpool's best. That's what Deadpool is. Deadpool has depth, but uses humor to spice it up and deflect sometimes.
Yeah,
I don't see the depth. Quite honestly, I don't see the depth in the character, especially in the movies.
I think we could all relate to, especially when you're a kid, just being like, I just want to matter. I think that's a powerful theme, is I just want to matter.
One thing that these movies nail with a taste, which I know comes from Ryan Reynolds because he's a through line through them, is just, even though they're tasteless jokes, there is taste in the humor, just the way it's deployed. It's the timing is on point. The choosing the perfect word, even if sometimes it's like a bit like, I'm like, okay, let's stop being kindergartners for a moment.
What kindergartners are you hanging out with?
Exactly.
I don't hear them using that kind of language.
Wow.
Listen, I'm from
kindergartners.
Oh my
Philly. Gosh.
Let's start middle school.
You know what I mean? Yeah, sure. Middle schoolers, edgelord humor. You know what I mean? Yeah, but
I'm just picturing like an army of 5-year-olds going around talking like Deadpool.
Philly has a reputation. Now, I grew up in the suburbs, but no, I think that, despite sometimes it's some elements of the humor, as I said already, are not for me, and that's fine. But I can see that there is taste and talent in the way that it's used. That was my point.
And that's why they have the popcorn buckets.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. You know what my favorite Wolverine moment though is when so I am a pet person, but when he's like making out with the dog, I'm like, that's too much. I love Peggy, but that's too much. And Hugh Jackman's face looking at it was my favorite Wolverine moment.
That was pretty good. Dogpool was fun in general. Can I ask you, did we all know that Tom Wamsgam was British the whole time?
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I at first I was like, who was your dialogue coach? Like, this sounds like a terrible English accent.
Okay.
And then I look it up and I'm like, no, that's your real voice.
That's your voice.
And Succession fooled me.
Oh my gosh.
No, he's talented. I mean,
Good
I don't
for him.
think, I mean, I'm good for him playing this part. Is fun, but it's not going to hold a candle to Tom Wamsgam.
Are we all surprised that they didn't do any kind of reference to the famous Wamsgam bachelor party shenanigan?
No,
Infamous?
because I think that they didn't assume that it was a huge overlap in audience.
Okay. Because I just felt like that was something that fit right into Deadpool's humor.
Yeah, you would think they would make like one Succession reference, but no.
Yeah, just like a little wink at the audience. I thought it would be funny.
Even something like general, like, or maybe there was, and I.
Well,
yeah, his plot in Succession gets to a point where I have pretty high tolerance for like shock value, but it got me. I was like, oh my god.
But could they have done it? Isn't Succession like a?
Well, they did Furiosa.
Yeah, I was surprised by that.
Yeah, that's true.
I didn't put that in the notes anywhere. It's good you brought it up because people were asking, like, is there a link, something with Marvel? I'm like, nope. I think it's just the Furiosa came out this year, or I don't know. Or they just were like, look at this wasteland. It reminds me of Mad Max.
It's funny. That's funny. I didn't watch Furiosa. I didn't understand the references, but I laughed anyway. Mostly because other people around me weren't laughing, and I was trying to fit in as a human.
I mean, but there's not much to get. Like they did like the car parade with the crazy cars, and they said, "Would something like Furiosa, your queen," or something. Anyway, yeah. So, any more cameos or moments you want to shout out before we get into the Comic Con news?
I just loved the joke about he is ruining the budget about Chris Evans right after he died. That killed me.
I mean, that was perfect. And that was such a cool kill, too. I was so surprised.
Yeah, that was great. That was great. that was great. They de-skinned him.
They brought him in for like a day.
that was super awesome. I thought all the cameos were well done. It's hard for me to say one was the best out of them all. The only reason, like, you know, again, like I said earlier, it was Wesley for me, just because of, you know, the importance for me of Blade. But everybody's going to have...
still good. Like, do they hold up? The Blade?
The first two.
I rewatched them. I rewatched them recently. I didn't. The first one. Oh, and by the way, Ryan Reynolds is in them. We should point out. So that's kind of the connection of why Wesley Snipes showed up here. Because it's not a Fox movie. But yeah, I rewatched them, and I think the second one is by far the best. What do you think, Sean?
Yeah, I kind of lean towards the second one, but the first one to me is also
the classic.
Sets the template because there's so much that goes on. And that first scene, the disco scene by itself is just, you know, like the club scene. That's just what, you know, everything that comes after is based on, you know, that fight scene. And so it's just really, there's just so much in Blade that, I think the first two hold up. The third one, not so much.
I'll be honest, even though I rewatched them fairly recently, like a year ago, I just don't remember what happens in the third one. So yeah, take from that what you will.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you can watch the first two, I think.
So what moments got the biggest reactions in your theaters?
I think I already said was the don't want the world to see me. The whole thing where they come back was really good for my audience, I think.
Yeah. What about you, Joe?
Chris Evans. Flame
Chris
on.
Evans. Yeah.
Yeah, the Flame on did. Yeah, that too.
The Flame on.
It's always like sometimes with these movies, the audiences are, especially in the Netherlands, like infamously at concerts, people don't dance as much as people would like. So yeah, there can be a tepid response at first, and the flame on moment was when people started letting loose. They're like, all right, we're into this.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, my theater was rowdy from the beginning. I think there were a lot of like high school and college kids in my theater. Like I was on the line because I needed like something caffeinated before I fell asleep because I was so tired. I was on the line for concessions, and behind me was a high school couple where the guy, I was very invested in this drama. The guy was definitely trying to get the girl to pay for both of their concessions. And but like he wouldn't outright ask for it. So he was like, "Oh, just leave your car with me and go get the seats." Yeah, it's fine. And it was, but he said it like 5 times, and I was very invested here. I hope they both found justice.
Fingers crossed. So, John, you said you wanted to ask for comics recs. I know, Jean, in our prep episode for this movie, you were talking about the Krakoa, right?
Yeah, the X-Men Krakoa era is basically. It's the last 5 years of X-Men comics.
Just 5 whole years.
Yeah.
Just 5 years. That's okay. I'm reading One Piece right now, and it's like a 20-year long.
So yes, the last 5 years of the X-Men. They get everything that they want, and what does that mean? You know, what does that mean? How do they get it? How do they hold it? How do they lose it? So if you want to start anywhere, start with like Powers and House of X. It's a combined 12 issues that shows you exactly, that lays out what the Krakoa era for X-Men comics is all about.
Well, it's cool. I think especially it might be interesting for John. It sounds like I haven't gotten a chance to start reading it yet, but you definitely got me to put it on my list, John. But yeah, what's especially interesting is that it sounds like if Genosha from X-Men 97
worked.
had gone a different way. Yeah, had worked.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. I like
definitely, that. It definitely is that. It's what if Genosha had actually worked.
Yeah. So I think what I'll do is I'll look up the first, or Jean, you send me the first, like the first issue that you would start with for that, and I'll link it in the show notes for anyone who wants to get into more X-Men reading.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
that'd be good.
And I also,
because I tried to read Zombie Wolverine and that was not going for me. I was like,
I tried to read it, and that whole arc was, it was part of a greater. It was part of a greater whole, but that part of the whole was not working.
Yeah, I was just like, I like the Phoenix stuff. Like even X-Men 97 made me go, this Phoenix stuff seems interesting. And then I read that and I was like, this is just not.
Yeah.
But the Phoenix stuff plays a key role in the Krakoa stuff you were saying, right? The Phoenix Force?
Well, at the end.
At the end, okay.
At the end. In the beginning, it does not. But at the end, definitely there's a huge role for the Phoenix. Basically, it's a repository for every mutant that ever existed, that exists right now and will exist, is a part of the Phoenix.
Mm.
And Jean Grey embodies all of that. Just to show you where she's at and on a power scale in the comics, which is totally different from what we get on screen.
Right. Well, yeah, I guess we saw it briefly in the old animated series. So, yeah, you'll have to report in, John, about what you think of the old animated series. I have to say, it gets good in like season 3.
But you know what? I am a One Piece fan, and so I'm totally fine with like I literally said to somebody the other day, like, man, this arc in episode 500 is just absolutely insane. Everybody should watch it. But you can't get to that arc without watching the first 400 episodes.
Right.
So, not that it's not good before that, but I'm sure there's going to be good moments of X-Men before that. I've watched the first episode so far. I was just, because here's the thing. I really need to, my problem is I get excited about different things and then I start 5 different projects and I don't finish any of them with watching. So I'm going to finish One Piece before I start any other big franchises.
No, that makes sense. Now. That makes sense.
Okay. All right. That makes sense.
But just for everyone, go ahead, Elysia.
No, I'm just trying to like casually finish all of Star Wars. But yeah, so I feel your pain. But, so what are you saying, Sean?
Finish all of Star Wars?
We'll see. I mean, not just canon for now.
So just really quick for John and anyone else getting into whatever comics you get into, they'll have stories. They'll have overarching stories. It's not contained to just one comic. Like, you know what I mean? Like the X-Men era of Krakoa, for example, there are many different X-Men comic books within that, right? They're all telling a story from these characters within Krakoa era, right? So you can pick up a X-Men or a X-Force or a Wolverine comic of the last 5 years. It's not going to say, oh, everything is about Krakoa, but it is. You know what I mean? Because they're living in that age at the time that the comic book is being written. So any comic that you pick up from the last 5 years, let's say for X-Men, will have those beats in it of the overall story, but they're also individual stories that they're telling within those comics as well.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, I tend to get into the weirder side of things. Like, I only read the X-Men main comics where it overlaps, and I'm like way back in history in most cases, except for Midnight Suns. I'm caught up on Midnight Suns because I love them. But then, I end up like, oh, who's Kushala? Kushala, by the way, is freaking awesome. She's a 19th century Apache demon rider sorcerer supreme. and then so I'm like, okay, I gotta read every comic she's in. Or, when the What If thing last year got me reading all the 1602 comics, which are like the, Avengers and all that, but set in 1602. I love, one of my favorites of all time is the Storm origin story, which now suddenly I'm forgetting the name of it, but it's about her childhood in Cairo and stuff. And yeah, I love I love Zoe Laveau is one of my new favorite characters. She's like, and so that got me into Strange's like
Strange
Academy. And then I started reading more Doctor Strange comics because of it. It just ends up hooking into each other. So,
yeah. And shameless plug on our little Marvel's Comics Corner, there is a top 10 X-Men comics that you should probably read that I put together.
Yes.
A nice tidy little list.
Yeah. So yeah, check that out on the Discord under Marvel Comics. And that's in that thread.
I'm excited.
Yeah. And what was I going to say about? Oh yeah, and I also got into the Nick Fury's Howling Commandos via Hitmonkey, which got me really into Vampire by Night. But this is appropriate because Jean and I might have to talk about that versus DC's Creature Commandos in the near future.
That's going to be fun.
Yes.
All right.
All right. Any final thoughts, John, before we let you go about Deadpool, Wolverine, X-Men, or anything else in the world?
I hope that this is a sign of things to come. And I joke about, you know, killing off the multiverse. And I'm not saying they have to do that, but I think something that this movie did that I don't think that Marvel has done a good job of since Endgame is not take itself too seriously. You know, really lean into the whole, this is a superhero movie. These are comic book characters. Let's have fun with it. And let's not, I think one of the big issues is Endgame was such a grand finale to something that took 15 years to build up. And they never figured out how to tell smaller stories again, the way that they did in the early MCU. And I think they really just need to tighten up and zone in on a few characters in a way that
because in a way that my characters.
I just don't think. No, I'm saying it's fine. Like yeah, bring in smaller characters, but make me feel about them the way you made me feel about Iron Man at first.
But I never felt that way about Iron Man and Captain America and all that stuff. I only really deeply started to care about the MCU in Phase 4. So this is what gets killed off with this type of thinking. That's why.
That's interesting.
That's why I'm like, I don't like the way things are going.
But what's the point of having a world-ending event if I don't care about the people who might die in it?
Yeah, well, I mean, but I don't care if Iron Man dies again, you know? Sorry.
That's fine, but how many other characters were at stake during Endgame, you know? And how many people... I think the whole point of it is...
Yeah, no, I mean,
the
that was a
MCU by Endgame
death.
became a big tent franchise where you could come from Thor, you could come from Iron Man, the Hulk, Guardians of the Galaxy, completely different tone. But in the end of the day, there's going to be a world-ending threat, and it's going to make you feel things about, you know, these characters and feel things about the stakes of this universe. Even, you know, Spider-Man, again, like another thing that really was not in the MCU until just before Endgame.
Right.
And I think that now we're at the point where they're trying to recreate the world-ending event without doing the legwork first.
I mean, I think that I disagree. I think it's completely the opposite. I think that they've been doing tons of legwork and people are getting super impatient. And now they're just cutting out what I think is all the beautiful world building to get back to what makes the fanboys happy. And great, I want the fanboys to be happy, but I just don't want that to be at the expense of the stories that I've really loved that have come out in the most recent years.
I think, you know, to both of you, the points that you both make are valid, right? I think what they've done post Endgame is try to incorporate those sorts of stories, the meaningful stories, like John is saying, into the canon, right? Into the film, on screen. What they haven't done is they tried to do with Kang is give a sufficient big bad that will make you feel like everything could be at stake, right?
Right.
They didn't do that. And for various reasons, you know, we can talk about whether Kang is that type of character, or you can talk about, you know, Jonathan Majors.
Not anymore.
Right. No, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
So,
you know, what could have been.
Right. What could have been with Jonathan Majors, or is even Kang that level of character, right? Because some people thought he wasn't. So
he could have been.
Right, he could have been. So there's both of those things are true. I think
right.
I'm not willing to give away, what we've done in phase 4 just because people don't like those characters.
Right. Well, and I think like what they've done since phase 3 on the movie end has been somewhat lackluster at times.
No, it has.
But by far my favorite movie since then is Eternals, which I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me on, but I think that that's the one where they took the biggest risk and in my opinion got the biggest reward. That was the movie where I sat up and was interested and cared about the characters and was really into getting more of that world. And that's the sort of thing I already know. We're not getting a second movie anymore because of the backlash, even though now the other day somebody used Eternals as an excuse to defend sexism against another movie. They're like, oh, but everybody loves the women in Eternals. I'm like, what?
Wow.
When did this narrative change? Where the
Wow.
cycles come around. We're hating the next thing.
So, but I think that there has to be, like a thing that everybody can rally around. That's the basic of every comic book. Every story it has that central thing that everyone is trying to stop, right? There's a threat out there that's greater than the individual and calls to the community to actually try to deal with it.
Right.
They need to go there again because they haven't presented that since Endgame.
Right. And hopefully they're lining that up. And you and I are going to talk all about that after we let John go. So thank you so much, John, for talking through and sharing your enthusiasm for this film. I think that was a really good way to open.
Yeah, awesome.
Of course. And now that I'm being pulled off the stage with a cane so that I can't diss stage 5 anymore, that's all right.
I mean, if listeners read, he's going to work.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, John. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Okay, now it's just us nerds. Picking up where we left off in our conversation with John, we have some important Comic Con news to talk about. First, though, I wanted to bring up something that wasn't announced at Comic Con. It was announced before that, but I know you've been interested in the Nova project, and now we get confirmation that it's in development, and it's going to be a TV show, but we're not getting it for a few years. How does that make you feel?
I mean, it makes me feel happy that they're doing it, but 4 years down the line is,
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited. Richard Rider, I think Nova is a great character. I thought the Nova Corps got terrible screen presence. Hopefully they write it with this series and let's see what happens. But yeah, I'm happy for it. But the wait time is just a little too much.
Yeah, I mean, I guess hopefully that means that it's getting like the proper attention,
of course,
to development. This is going to be a really quality product out of that, I hope. All right, well, getting into the Comic-Con announcements themselves, of course, we have to start with their last announcement, which we've got our Victor Von Doom. How do you feel about Robert Downey Jr.? You were excited about Von Doom, of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
About that now he's replacing Kang as the villain in the final two, or not the final two, but the next two Avengers films that are coming out in 2026 and 2027, which are now called Kang Dynasty is out, Avengers Doomsday is in, and then still Secret Wars, of course. But Doom is the villain in Secret Wars in the comics.
Right. And the second Secret Wars comic book.
Right. And the one that seems to be the one that they're going to adapt, right. I think. Although I think the Russo brothers that are back to direct are the fans of the first.
Yeah, I can't see them doing. I mean, they could. Who knows? They could do the first one.
No,
but it just makes sense to do the second one, given where we're at with the incursions and all the multiverses and bleeding into one another. So, which is exactly what the second Secret Wars comic was about, and how Doom basically leveraged all of that to become God Emperor Doom. So,
yeah,
that would be my guess. but who knows what they're going to do. But as far as the casting, I'm very disappointed in it. You know, this is nothing against Robert Downey Jr., but it's just not what I wanted to see.
Okay,
he could play a different role. He could even play Iron Man as an old man Iron Man. I don't care. But, you know, Victor Von Doom is essential to Marvel Comics. And I think the character deserves to be the character and not deserves to be the actor playing the character.
Yeah. Yeah, especially we got reports that apparently they paid the Russo brothers. So for anyone who doesn't know, they are the ones who directed like Winter Soldier, Civil War, Infinity War, Endgame. So I mean, I called bringing them back like the safest bet possible, but it's also a very expensive one. They're being paid $80 million to direct the
next
two
two
Avengers films, and apparently Robert Downey Jr. is being paid even more than that. So it's like, okay, well, that's where the budget's going, just FYI.
I mean, you know, Disney is printing money, so that's fine. It's not my money. It's not my money.
I mean, the stockholders are going to tell you that they've been struggling a little bit in recent years.
Yeah, you know what? It's not my money. You know, they want to spend that money.
But it just means that money's taken away from other things that I would like them to spend it on.
Yeah.
Like the actual film.
I have a hard time believing that they're going to pay this exorbitant amount of money to these three people and short thrift them on the product.
No. Well, I guess, yeah, they're going to put their everything into, I mean, just obviously they need to at least match the last two Avengers films.
Right.
Basically.
In terms of budget. I don't foresee a budget crisis for Disney when it comes to these two films. What it could do is hamper other projects,
right?
But not these projects.
That's true. That's even scarier. I was going to say before that when we were talking to John, I think I'm fine with like the films, like the cinematic side. I know that's where they make the money, and I'm fine with that being the safe place. Like, you know, let's bring back the directors. Let's throw money at the people who have already built a fan base in our fan base to get them into the theater. As long as on the TV side, I still want more like She-Hulk and Moon Knight and, you know, all these Werewolf by Night stuff.
You want to take the risk and you want to do things that, you know,
we can do it in a safer place. Just give it to me.
Yeah, definitely. You know, we want these other stories as well. Don't get me wrong. I'm the biggest fan of all the Avenger films. You know what I mean? But I also want to see these smaller type of product of you know, of work. You know, I want to see other types of superhero stories being told where it's not just you know, it's not just, you know, some, you know, major star or major character that everyone could quote unquote identify with. And when I say quote unquote identify with, you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, you know, white male, you know, fanboys who have been complaining about the lack of white males as superheroes.
Which, to be clear, is not John, because we were having a conversation about that when the mic was off. Yeah.
Right. Definitely it's not John, but, you know, those sorts of characters.
I mean, it's okay. Just liking like Captain America and Iron Man and that type of character doesn't make you part of the problem. And I respect the people who like that. I just also want, you know, all these other things.
Like Cap is one of my favorite characters. You know what I mean? I love, you know, Civil War, and I love, you know, Winter Soldier. You know, those are two of my favorite films. So it's not about the characters themselves. It's about the people who are saying that they are fans of these characters, who are obviously not fans of these characters. They're fans of a narrative that they're trying to spin. And that's my problem, that I hope that Marvel is not taken away from people who are being disingenuous about their fandom and saying this is what their overall fans of these films want to see. So yeah, And again, this is not Robert Downey. This is not a diss
No.
of Robert Downey Jr. He's a great actor. I'm sure he'll do his best in the role, but the role is what's important to me. You know, the character is what's important to me.
Right.
And
go
ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm hoping that like this is gonna be like one of those Until Secret Wars things, you know, and then we get an actual like Romani Victor Von Doom, just a fresh take.
I mean, yes, that's your hope, but
that's my hope.
I have doubts about that. You know, I have doubts about the way that they're going to present his story. And again, it's just, you know, it's really, I wanted to see someone new. I wanted to see someone fresh.
Right.
I wanted to see a different actor take on the role and be introduced to the world as Victor Von Doom, and not necessarily have this, you know, call back to the golden times. You know what I mean? And that's what I felt like this was. This was like a callback to a forgotten or thought to be forgotten era, nostalgia, whatever you want to call it. I was not looking for that in Marvel films.
Okay, yeah. So there is a what if comic that has Victor Von Doom and Tony Stark switching bodies. And you said before, you said, "Ooh, if they really do that story, I'm thinking of, I'm going to be very happy." But you said it's not this body
it's
switching
not that.
story.
It's definitely not that.
What is it? What is it?
No, it's actually the Secret Wars. It's the second Secret Wars. That's what I'm talking about. It's actually that, because this is what's meant.
What if they mix them?
Oh, I mean, no. I don't want a mind swap. I don't. No, I don't want that. I don't want that. Okay. I want Von Doom to be Von Doom. You know, and independent.
But they have to address
that
he looks. But they have to address that he looks like Tony Stark. That he's Tony Stark's face.
They can address it and say, "Oh my gosh, he looks just like Tony Stark," but he's not.
Moving on.
You know, they can play it off for humor. You know,
like having some explanation like that, or maybe just it's a variant of Tony Stark where, but then that's not Victor Von Doom.
It's not Victor Von Doom. It's a variant of Tony Stark.
I'm pro body swap.
So I want Victor Von Doom. I don't want it to be a Tony Stark variant. I want it to be he could be a variant of Victor Von Doom for all I care. But I don't want it to be, you know,
maybe
like
a lot of makeup.
Yeah. Basically.
But they're not going to do that. Not with him.
No, but you know, I my fear is that it's going to be more of a project for Robert Downey Jr. Right? Like, that's my fear.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, he's going to be maskless throughout the whole movie, you know, moving in some sort of corporate way, trying to, you know, do backroom deals and things of that nature, where we see Robert Downey Jr.'s face. And that is not Victor Von Doom. That's not Dr. Doom. Right? He's in armor and you never see his face.
Yeah. Nor does Robert Downey have the voice that I wanted. But I guess that's a me thing. That's just a head fan casting thing. Yeah. I mean, I'll give them a chance to tell their story.
Of course. I'm going to see the movie. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. This announcement wasn't for me, I don't think. But I was actually surprisingly more excited about. So we know Doom is apparently going to show up at first in the credit scene of the Fantastic Four movie, which we know is called Fantastic Four: First Steps, and it begins filming actually today as we're recording on the Tuesday or the 30th of July, and it's supposed to be released 1 year from today, July 25th, 2025. I'm like, I don't know. We'll see. But we're supposed to get this first family in both Avengers films. And it seems like they're setting up Galactus to be a big bad in addition to Victor Von Doom? Who do you think is the bigger bad, or who do you want to see like take precedence?
I mean, it has to be Galactus. Like Dr. Doom has to be like a side story in this story. Like Galactus, it has to be the main bad.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess Doomsday, I'm guessing maybe it's like he's the main bad of Doomsday until Galactus comes and is a bigger threat or something like that. And he has to team up with the heroes, maybe?
No, I really want to see him take advantage of the chaos.
Okay.
That is presented by Galactus showing up.
Okay.
Like step into the void, so to speak, and take over. That's what I want to see out of that.
Yeah.
I want him to be the ultimate opportunist.
Yeah. Okay. Did you see the Fantastic Four footage that leaked online from Comic Con?
I didn't. I haven't seen it. I haven't watched it.
But it's like they confirmed it's a 60s retrofuturistic setting in the middle of like the space race. Yeah, like the Jetsons and an alternate reality. This world's definitely getting chomped, right?
Yeah, that world is not staying. That world is not staying. But
I thought,
go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say the chemistry between the cast and just like the tone and I mean, this was just camera tests, but it already looks so on point that I'm on record as saying I haven't cared about the Fantastic Four in the past, but now I'm like, all right, I want to see this movie.
I've always cared. Always cared, and it was to my deep disappointment that the other films were so terrible. Because I've always cared about those.
And that's probably why I haven't cared, because I never got into those comics, and those movies were not exactly going to sell me.
And I think for me, Fantastic Four is the linchpin of the MCU going forward. Like if they mess this up,
you think more than the mutants?
I think so. So.
I'm going mutants, but
I think so. I think they're the linchpin of the MCU going forward.
What if they say that they are mutants?
That would be spectacular. I wouldn't be upset about that at all.
Okay,
I think
no, they could be. Why not?
Yeah, I'm cool with that. But I just want them to have the role that they're supposed to have. Like they're the first family of Marvel Comics, right? And that means something. That means something to folks. Because the dynamic between the four of them it's not like the Avengers. You know, they're not like the X-Men. Like they're actual family. Like and that should play out on screen in ways that other superhero movies don't play out, because the stakes are a little bit higher when you're dealing with your family.
Right.
And the arguments are a little bit more intense and more fraught. And trying to get everyone to agree to do something is very difficult if you have for those of you who have siblings and cousins and all of these other familial attachments. So I'm very excited to see the FF on screen. The cast, I think, is cast really well. I don't have an issue with any of the actors who are playing any of the characters so far. And I'm just hoping for an awesome story.
Yeah. Well, the first movie we're going to get, which was also talked about at Comic Con, is Brave New World, February 14th, 2025. So we knew Giancarlo Esposito was in it, but we found out he is the king of the Serpent Society Sidewinder. So yeah, there was teases about Serpent Society maybe being in Thunderbolts and then being cut, and now it's in Brave New World. Are you excited about that? Are you interested in Serpent Society?
They're a cool villain band. They're okay. They're not top tier, but they're okay, and they're in a lot of Avengers, related skirmishes, and stories. So yeah, it makes sense that they would bring in the SS into, not the Nazi SS, excuse me, Serpent Society into some film. I'm excited for this film.
Yeah.
And I never thought
The
I would
trailer
say
looks
about
good.
this. I never thought I would say that about, Mackie. As people know, I am not a Mackie fan, I'm not a Mackie guy. But I'm excited for this film. From what I've seen and what I've read, it has potential. Hopefully they can pull it off. But yeah, I think it looks good. It looks good.
Yeah. Yeah, the trailer, which is on YouTube for anyone who hasn't seen it, the trailer, that's not from Comic Con, that's from before, but it looks quite promising. Yeah, I'm interested. We've got Harrison Ford as the Hulk. You should look him up, hulking out at Comic Con if you haven't
As
seen
Red
it.
Hulk. Red Hulk.
As Red Hulk. Sorry, Red Hulk. Sorry. Do you think we might get Liv Tyler back as Betty, as Red She-Hulk?
Oh, wow. No.
I mean, this is just fan wishing right now.
No,
but,
I don't think so, but that would be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That would be awesome
yes,
if they brought it back into the fold. That would be cool. Yes.
Yeah, I would be really excited about that. One thing that they are bringing back into the fold is they're finally going to address Tiamat, the Celestial, sticking out of the Indian Ocean, which is now called Celestial Island, and they said that it is the source of adamantium in the MCU. So
More
adamantium
mutants.
adamantium being the metal that's on Wolverine's skeleton and claws.
Yeah. So that's a great, finally being addressed.
It's even stronger than vibranium, right?
Allegedly. Some people say so, but other people will tell you no, it's not. So it's all about who's writing which comic. So yeah, but finally that's being addressed, the big hand that's sticking out of the ocean. And I'm happy for it. That means that the Eternals did happen. Like, it's a film that actually exists. You know what I mean?
Bring the Eternals back. Come on.
And hopefully we'll get to see these characters play out in some future. But yeah, I'm excited for this film.
And not just a cameo. I want a real story.
Yeah.
What do you think it's going to mean for Wakanda now that adamantium has been introduced to because Wakanda, for anyone who doesn't know, is like the home of vibranium.
Well, that's the whole Brave
source.
New World, right?
Right.
That's so what we're talking about.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
you think that's going to be the focus? Is going to be
to offset the vibranium weaponry of the Wakandans.
Mm-hmm. Do you think we'll see any Wakandans in this film?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I think we'll see maybe, some sort of Adora Milaje, come through. Who would it be? I'm not sure, but yes, I think we will see some sort of connection to Wakanda. We'll definitely see some connection to Wakanda, I would think.
Yeah. Although the biggest connection to Wakanda from the Captain America side of things is Bucky, and he's not going to be in this film because he is one of the leads in the Thunderbolts asterisks. They're apparently going to tell us later what the asterisk means, which is going to be coming out May 2nd, 2025. So yeah, they showed a trailer there. That one didn't leak, so I've heard descriptions of it, and it's seems fun. I don't know, early days. They brought the entire cast out on the stage, and there were two people who I didn't recognize. The other people I recognized were Yelena is there. She's apparently the lead. Red Guardian is there. He's going to play a big role. Ghost is there. Taskmaster. Who am I? Val, of course. Julia Louis-Dreyfus. John Walker, the fake Captain America. For those of you who watch Falcon and Winter Soldier, yeah. Was it U.S. Agent is his name?
U.S. Agent.
I don't know if I'm forgetting anyone else. Maybe it'll come to me. But there were two I didn't recognize, and it was because they were the two that replaced. So there was going to Ayo Edebiri was going to be in the movie, but she had to drop out for scheduling reasons, and she was replaced by Geraldine Viswanathan. Sorry if I probably butchered that last name. I apologize. And as Val's assistant, quote unquote, Mel. This is definitely Songbird, right? Or Screaming
I think
Me.
so. I think it's Songbird.
Yeah.
Who has a long history with the Thunderbolts.
Yeah.
So,
Gotta be. And they're not like, they wouldn't have, even though Ayu Edebiri dropped out, they wouldn't have cast her in something that was just somebody's assistant.
Right.
And then the other one was Louis Pullman, who replaced Steven Yeun. So we're basically confirmed. They're just calling him Bob, wink, wink, but we're basically confirmed this is Sentry.
Yes. One of Marvel's many Supermans.
Yeah, unhinged Superman. One of Marvel's multiple unhinged Supermans.
Yeah. So this should be fun. I think Sentry, if done correctly, can be a really fun character on screen.
Yeah.
Can be a really fun character on screen. What do you do with someone who holds the power of a million suns?
Right.
But also has some serious issues.
No, I'm excited. I mean, it's a lot to juggle with that because of the big cast and everything, but I'm very excited about the cast, and I'm excited, that it's going to, that one seems like it's going to be an interesting, fun movie for me. That's what I'm looking forward to. Yeah, and all three movies are going to be featured. All three casts apparently are going to be in the new Avengers movies. So,
which is why I think it has to be the Secret Wars story.
Yeah. Well, it's called Secret Wars. It
has to be the second one. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, the second one for sure. Yeah. Well, they've been setting up incursions and stuff for years.
Yeah, it has to be the second one.
Yeah. Well, and they may have also laid some seeds for Secret Wars in Deadpool and Wolverine. So we're going to get back to talking about that. We're going to give you the full plot synopsis and our breakdown of the cameos and everything you need to know going forward after a quick break. Okay, so we're going to start with a plot synopsis. I'm going to be honest, I saved myself a huge amount of time by ripping this plot synopsis from Wikipedia and editing as needed.
Thank goodness.
And it's on the longer side, but John and I are going to bring it to life, taking turns presenting it dramatically. So you can relive the movie or experience it for the first time in about 5 minutes. And then we're going to dissect it thoroughly, of course.
I don't know how good my drama voice is, but...
Yeah, I've heard it before. Give it a go. Go ahead.
In 2018, Wade Wilson uses Cable's time-traveling device to travel from his timeline, Earth 10005, to Earth 616, the sacred timeline, where he has an interview with Happy Hogan to join the Avengers, but he is rejected.
6 years later, Wade has retired from the Deadpooling life, broken up with his girlfriend Vanessa Carlisle, and is working as a used car salesman. During his birthday party, the Time Variance Authority, or the TVA for those who know, captures Wade and brings him to Mr. Paradox, who offers him a place on Earth 616. However, Paradox also reveals that Wade's timeline is deteriorating as a result of the death of its stabilizing, quote-unquote, anchor being, James Logan Howlett. Without approval from management, Paradox plans to use the Time Ripper, a device he developed to mercy kill timelines, to prematurely destroy Wade's timeline. So Wade steals Paradox's tempad to travel the multiverse to find a variant of Logan to save his timeline.
Wade has a stab and greet with dozens of Logan variants, finally taking the one who doesn't try to kill him back to the TVA, where he learns that this particular Logan is considered the worst Wolverine in the multiverse. There's an argument, and Paradox prunes Wade and Logan into the void, where they fight before they and Johnny Storm are captured and taken to Cassandra Nova, the twin sister of X-Men leader Charles Xavier. Cassandra, who was pruned as an infant, but made a deal with the TVA to stay willingly in the void, kills Johnny and leaves Wade and Logan to be consumed by purple cloud monster Alioth. But they escape.
Logan and Wade meet a variant of Wade called Nice Pool, who gives them a car and points them to the Void's borderlands where the resistance against Cassandra is located. However, Logan chastises Wade for hiding the fact that he is unable to fix Logan's timeline, leading to a fight that leaves them both unconscious. Laura drives them to the borderlands where they meet. I think it doesn't say here that. Guess what? X. What's her name?
Right. What is
X-23? X-23 shows up. So sorry, I lost my place.
With the resistance against Cassandra.
Yeah. So X-23 shows up. Laura and drives them to the borderlands where they meet resistance members Elektra Nachios, Eric Brooks, and Remy LeBeau. Wade dubs them the Others and proposes an alliance to fight Cassandra. Logan refuses to cooperate, but eventually relents after a conversation with Laura about his inability to save the X-Men in his universe. Wade, Logan, and the others go to confront Cassandra and manage to block her powers by placing Juggernaut's helmet on her head. However, Cassandra is betrayed by her henchman Pyro, who has been secretly working for Paradox. Logan convinces Wade to remove the helmet, allowing Cassandra to heal and open a portal back to Wade's timeline.
Arriving on Earth 10005, Wade and Logan find that Paradox has begun to use the Time Ripper. Cassandra, having learned of Paradox's plan from Pyro before executing him, arrives through another portal and kidnaps Paradox. She plans to take control of the Time Ripper to destroy all timelines, leaving only the Void as revenge for Paradox's betrayal. Cassandra summons an army of Deadpool variants to battle Wade and Logan, but Wade's friend Peter Wisdom arrives and convinces them all to retreat. Paradox tells Wade and Logan that disrupting the power flow of the Time Ripper would kill a person. Wade and Logan then both use their bodies as conductors, surviving by sharing the burden, and destroy the Time Ripper, killing Cassandra. Paradox is then arrested by Hunter B-15 from the TVA.
B-15 reveals that Wade and Logan's actions have stopped Wade's timeline from deteriorating. Wade requests B-15 free the others from the Void before asking if it is possible to rewrite the history of Logan's timeline. B-15 replies that it was his history that made Logan the hero needed to stop Cassandra, and there is nothing to fix. Logan, who wishes to retire and live a peaceful life, is taken by Wade to meet his friends, along with Laura. On Logan's encouragement, Wade reconciles with Vanessa. So, yeah, we'll talk about the cameos in a minute, but what did you think of this as a standalone story, Jean?
I thought it was good. I thought the story made sense. It was it didn't leave much to too much to think about it. They explained what was going on immediately. You know what I mean? So you weren't left wondering who are all these characters and what are they doing here and what's going on in the movie, and I don't understand this. It was pretty straightforward, and I think that's what it needed to be. So the story aspect of the movie, I thought, worked.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was, not necessarily like my favorite type of story in terms of, like depth and nuance. Like I love something that's a little darker and whatever that,
Oh my gosh.
with a little more pathos. I know. I know, I'm predictable. But it was, it was a straightforward superhero story that made sense, and the MacGuffin's fine. There's nothing, I can't was it the most super impressive climax? No, I think other parts of the movie were better. Including, I guess, the Deadpool part of the climax. The Deadpool core part of the climax was pretty cool. But it was, they chose the right music. They used the humor right, and it worked for me.
Yeah, definitely, I agree with all of that. I thought I didn't have a problem with the beginning, the middle, or the end.
Yeah.
Of the story. I didn't have a problem with, I think it flowed well. And it kept you engaged again because they told you what was happening. And I think for this type of movie, that's what it needed to do. Didn't need to have a lot of supposition to this. Right?
Yeah. Were you surprised? Yeah, no, fair. No, I mean it was exactly like I like to rate movies on the scale of what they're trying to be, and this movie was exactly what it was trying to be. It nailed what it was going for, and I think that's why I was so excited. I was like, oh, this is going to be really popular because it's going to appeal to a lot of different people for a lot of different reasons.
Yeah.
Were you surprised that they wound up back on Earth 10005 at the end?
Yes, I was. I going into the film, like I told you, I wanted it to be the end of everything Fox. And this was definitely, to me, not the end of everything Fox. It was the end of some characters, but it was not the end of everything Fox.
They had that goodbye film in the credits.
Yeah, but no. That's the credits. That doesn't work for me. I wanted it to be in the film itself, to be like, say, a final goodbye to the entire universe. And that didn't happen. Was I disappointed in that? Yes. Did it detract from the movie? No.
Okay, fair. So one cameo we didn't talk about yet is Logan's corpse. I thought that was for me. That was the moment they got me personally. Was he starts and he's like, "Well, and people want to know, how are we going to respect the memory of Logan? We're not."
Right.
I was dying laughing during that opening, even though I don't care about stuff like I said about people being stabbed in the dick or whatever. But it was just the timing and the humor. It was really good.
Yeah, I was. I didn't expect to find Logan's corpse when he dug it up.
No.
I really didn't.
I don't know what I expect. I didn't expect him to be alive, but I was almost afraid that he would be. But
I was firmly in the camp that he's not going to be in the grave.
Right.
I really thought he wasn't going to be in the grave. So that was a nice surprise for me.
Yeah. And I have to say the opening was also one of the places where the 3D element really shined.
Okay. Oh,
because all the stuff is flying at you, and the credits and the blood, and and then I loved one of the scenes. I almost forget about it after everything that happens after that, but I loved the scene with him and Happy Hogan, Jon Favreau.
That was really well
done.
Yeah. It was really well done, and I'm parts of me, Happy has played too much of a role in some of the movies for me, but I thought this was exactly what it needed to do. It set up Deadpool's whole, raison d'etre, you know what I mean? And it was really nice to see someone put explanation behind the Avengers, right? So it's not, they don't do it because they want to do it. They do it because they have to do it. You know, and that's a nice way to encapsulate what being a superhero should mean. It's not because you want the acclaim. It's because, if you're not there to help, what will the result be? So I like that. I really did like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I thought that it was funny, though, the fact I saw this obviously before Comic Con, because I saw this last Wednesday. And there was the joke in there about Robert Downey Jr. being too expensive for a cameo, or he's not doing cameos, or he wanted to talk to the big man, like, oh, he's not doing cameos.
Not doing cameos. He's not doing
I wonder
cameos.
if there's a real story.
He's doing real roles.
He's like, yeah, hold my beer, Marvel.
Yeah.
And then so we got Deadpool's whole quote unquote family back. We got Vanessa, Blind Owl, Dopinder, Negasonic Teenage Warhead, Yukio, Colossus, Shatterstar, and Buck from the bar. And of course Peter Wisdom, who played a way more important role than you would expect.
I thought Peter was the best out of this bunch.
I mean, obviously the film did too.
Yeah, for me, I could do without the rest of.
The others, they barely got a chance to be seen. The others, but
yeah,
it is important, like, because the fact that Deadpool emphasized them, and the fact that the film really wanted us to remember that they exist. makes me wonder if they're going to play a role in future storytelling for him. Because there are some hints in this film that they have a story for him mapped out.
Yeah, they probably will. But again, I was, they didn't play a big role to me in the previous movies. For me personally, I never really connected with any of them, actually.
Yeah. It's too bad Zazie Bates didn't come back as Domino.
Yeah, Domino was my favorite. Domino was my favorite.
She was my favorite from the second film, yeah.
But yeah,
they're underusing Shatterstar. They have not used him at all. They just here's a guy with cool looking eyes.
Yeah, he's just there. But yeah, I like Peter. I thought Peter was great. Was a great foil. Even not intending to be a foil, but he was still a great straight man to Deadpool, to Wade.
Eternally support a friend.
Yeah. So I really enjoyed watching Peter, his dynamic on screen. So that was cool.
Every Deadpool has a Peter.
And I'm gonna go out on a little branch here, I think we could tone it down with Bland Out.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I really do.
Yeah.
I think it's not hitting the way that it hit before.
No, I agree.
No.
It felt a little forced. Yeah.
It felt a little forced,
What did you think? What did you think about the story about him getting Vanessa back? Did that part work for you?
I mean, I always thought they would.
Yeah. I think
there was never a question in my mind.
Right. There's no suspense about that. So it's I don't know. It's just like a clear storytelling device you could see.
Yeah. There was never a question in my mind. So,
yeah.
I don't see what she sees in him. If we want to talk, if we really want to talk, I don't see what she sees in him.
It would have been funny if she met Nice Pool. I mean, if she was more into him or something. That's the thing. They continue to underutilize. Moraine. Sorry, they continue. Morena Baccarin. Yeah.
I wish I could understand her affection for Wade.
Yeah.
Because I don't see it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I get it, but I didn't I don't know. It's just okay, you broke up. Oh yeah. And then she's on the red carpet events. I can't say if they get back together. Okay.
Yeah,
we all know what's happening.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah.
So we already talked about a bunch the Wolverine variants. So we got Patch, who we thought might be a cameo, but it was just Hugh Jackman after all. We got the comics accurate short Wolverine, which was funny, also Jackman, and the only new face was Henry Cavalrine. That was a good bit, at least.
That was. He even did the machine guns arms.
Yeah.
So that was cool. That was cool.
And we talked about the Chris Evans bait and switch with Cap and Johnny Storm. What did you think of the credit scene, though? Deadpool got him killed. Basically, it looked like, because he was saying he said all this stuff about Cassandra, and then he actually
said it. Yeah, I thought it was great,
and more.
I thought that was great. I thought that was great because I was firmly believing, hey, he threw him under the bus, and it turns out that he actually did it, and it makes total sense for Johnny Storm.
Yeah,
as a character.
Yeah,
he's
not Captain America,
right? He is a smartass.
Yeah.
He is a wisecracking smartass. You know, so it made total sense for that to be Johnny Storm. Really what he said. So I applaud them for doing that. I thought that was great.
Yeah. And as much as I kind of wanted a credit scene to geek out over about what's coming, I appreciate that this is a credit scene that ties back to the actual film. And that way it doesn't undermine that whole, because the other quote unquote credit scene is the montage they play of Fox Marvel stuff, which is emotional. So it's appropriate to say no, this is a self-contained this thing.
Yeah.
And we're not pulling in other scenes from the next movie or whatever.
No, I thought it was fine. I thought it was great. I didn't have a problem with it. Not everything gives you a preview of what's next, and that's okay.
when we got Comic Con like the next day. So
right, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's totally fine. That's totally fine. So I don't think you have to lean into, the post credits for every film, because not for every film does it make sense.
Right. Yeah, but we got our member berries with we got a couple familiar minions. So we had glimpses of Azazel, Lady Deathstrike, Psylocke, Toad, Bullseye, Callisto, Blob, and the Russian. But mostly we got interaction with Pyro. We had Aaron Stanford back, and Sabretooth with Tyler Mane. How did all that work for you?
It worked.
Yeah.
I thought it was, yeah.
Pyro played a bigger role than I expected.
Yeah, totally. I thought he was just going to be another Sabretooth, like go down and, really quickly. But, he had an alternate, role, and that was cool to see that they expanded on certain characters. And that's, I like that.
Yeah. And I liked we talked about Vinnie Jones saying that like he was asked to come back, but he wasn't coming, and wondering whether that was like the usual lying thing. But no,
well, it wasn't.
He really said no. We got a joke about it's this movie's Juggernaut because it changes every movie.
I thought it was great. Yeah. Vinnie Jones, a man of his word.
Yeah. And then we got the trio of cameos that I think you and I were most excited about. We had Jennifer Garner as Elektra, Wesley Snipes as Blade, and Channing Tatum as the Gambit that never was. I mean, and they went full comic book with him, with his costume and his powers and
his accent. And it was delightful. It was delightful. I can definitely say that I enjoyed all three of those characters being on screen, and that's what you want. It's what I want to see. I want to be able to say, gosh, that was so cool. And I felt that, like watching it, like, guys, that's so cool. And it was really a nice callback for Elektra and for Blade, and a nice what could have been for Gambit.
Yeah. Yeah, now I'm happy to get a different Gambit.
Oh, so you're totally over the Channing Tatum Gambit.
I'm over this was it. The scratch that itch, and like I would love an actually Cajun Gambit, or at least someone who can do the accent well. But
I mean, we're not getting
I think it would be great.
We're not getting Aroma Von Doom, so.
Yeah, so, they gotta give somewhere. And I want Gambit Rogue romance in live action.
That would be cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
They should do it.
Yeah.
They should do it.
Speaking of romances, real and on screen, that was a funny line with where they're like, "Oh, Elektra, we're sorry about Daredevil," as in that Ben Affleck version, and she's like, "No, I'm fine.
No, it's okay. It's okay. We're good. We're good over here."
Oh, that was so good. And of course, the fourth of their group is X-23, Laura, played by Daphne Keane. I think after like the main duo, she was the most satisfying emotional arc for me.
Really?
How do you feel? Yeah, not for you?
No. It's Blade for me. I mean,
did they get a whole emotional arc, those
characters?
I guess they must be. I wonder, because he asked for them to get out of the void. So were they, and their universes are gone.
I think
so they must be in his universe
somewhere. They're somewhere. We just don't know where.
Or at the TVA. Yeah.
They're at the TVA, or they're somewhere else.
Yeah.
And who knows? And that opens up possibilities. But I did like that X-23 stayed with them. Seeing her at the
table. She's in the family now.
Yeah, seeing her at the table with Logan, rest of Deadpool's cohorts and family. I thought that was that's a nice ending for her. Maybe a nice beginning. Who knows?
Yeah, no, I hope so, because all those four characters all went into the fight with Cassandra saying that they were willing to die, but it seems like none of them did.
No.
And her especially, I was like, it would be a shame to lose her, because I mean, first of all, shout out to my girl Jackie, who anyone doesn't know, that's the character she played in The Acolyte, but she was an alien in makeup and looked completely different character. But yeah, no, I just think it would be, you've got Daphne Keane. Don't waste her. She's, yeah.
Right. Bring her into the fold.
Yeah, absolutely. I do have, well, we're going to talk later about it, but I have questions about incursions. But
Okay.
But yeah, speaking of multiverse stuff, which I like,
So do I.
Yeah, good. It's two of us at least. So we get the TVA, of course. We get the Void. We get Eliath. We get B-52 back, Wunmi Masaku. Yeah, I had to keep yelling at people to go watch Loki. I'm learning that a lot of people have not watched Loki.
So many people haven't watched it.
And that is just don't watch it to understand this film. Watch it because it's just so good.
Yeah. It's just
you are hurting yourself by not watching it.
But you know what? If people go back to it because of this film, then I'm thankful for this film.
Yeah, no, exactly. No, I mean, I'm thankful for this film in general because you can see the energy it's generating and that people are having a good time and it's doing good for the box office. And, I'm so glad for all that. And I enjoyed it. And, I'm sure I'll rewatch it lots of times in my life.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But yeah, go see Loki. Go watch it. If you haven't watched it, 2 seasons, great seasons, both.
And short seasons.
Yeah, and you'll enjoy it. I firmly believe that you will enjoy that. That was my second rated show for last year. So yeah, I think everyone should watch that series, definitely.
Yeah. And we also got the conceit. One of the conceits in Loki and the TVA, the Time Variance Authority, is that you can get a view of every moment in every multiverse everywhere ever. And the glimpse we get teased with this time is they reused Thor footage from Thor 2, where he's cradling Loki as Loki dies in that film, or quote unquote dies. But this time we see he's cradling Deadpool. And we keep getting references back to this throughout the rest of the film about Thor's tears. They're definitely signaling something to come in his story, aren't they?
Yeah, but I don't know.
Yeah?
I'm not in the camp.
I mean, we don't know, but
I know.
We have storytelling literacy, and it seems like they're telling us something.
They might be signaling something, but I'm not sure that they are.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure that they are.
So you're saying don't get my hopes up that we're threading a story.
When I saw that, I just thought it was a play on that scene. I didn't necessarily, and even with the callbacks throughout the movie, I didn't necessarily think to myself, oh, they're setting up something to happen between those two characters.
Okay. I guess time shall tell. We'll see in 2027, perhaps. But we did get this time. We got way more Deadpool core. I knew we were going to get Deadpool core, but we got way more than I expected because apparently, this makes sense. Deadpools just keep getting pruned and sent to the void, which that tracks. So we got Dogpool, played by Peggy. I will never not say her name. We got Nicepool, played by Ryan Reynolds himself. We got Ladypool, voiced by Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds' wife, famous actress in her own right. Kidpool and Babypool were their kids. Headpool was Nathan Fillion. Cowboy Pool was Matthew McConaughey. Welsh Pool, the one with the big Welsh flag across the front, was Wrexham striker Paul Mullen. And it's also the name of an actual place in Wales, I have to mention. But yeah, so people who watch Welcome to Wrexham, which I watch 12 episodes, but not sports ball. We had Brave Pool, Canada Pool, which was apparently Ryan Reynolds' stunt double, Alex Kishkovich. We had Watari, the Fool. We had Deadpool 2099, the futuristic looking one. We had Golden Age Deadpool. Zen Pool was the one in monkey robes. Pirate Pool, Samurai Deadpool, etc., etc., etc. What were your favorites?
Nicepool.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, he was my favorite.
He doesn't regenerate.
Of all the pools, he was my favorite pool. It was nice pool.
Yeah.
And I felt bad when he bit the.
Yeah.
Literally, he bit the bullets.
I wondered if he might if it might be an act, and then he would turn out to be a secret villain. But no, he was just really that nice.
Just a really nice guy,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kept staring at Welsh Pool because of the flag. Because of a Welsh background.
Okay.
But I think I liked the ones with the cool costumes. I'm simple. Like Zenpool was really cool. I want to see. This is one of the things like Into the Spider-Verse, the Spider-Verse stuff where I'm like, oh, there's all these Spider-Men. Maybe I want to read more comics. Now I'm like, oh, maybe I should read more Deadpool multiverse comics.
I mean, I think reading comics, everyone should do it. So I say, go ahead.
Right. I mean, I read a lot of comics.
No, I know.
There's just so many.
Yeah, just do it. Just dive into the
But it's just,
universe.
Do I prioritize it over other things?
I mean, have you read Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe?
I have not read any Deadpool comics.
Let's start with that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Apparently there was also somewhere in there a Harold Pool played by Tom Holland's brother, Harry.
Oh.
And Ryan Reynolds didn't know, or I don't know. I just saw a headline like that go by today before we recorded. Were you surprised there was no major X-Men?
Yes.
I expected Storm.
I the whole premise in my mind was to kill off the Fox universe.
Yeah.
And the only person that actually bit the bullet was Chris Evans, was Johnny Storm. And I'm like,
apparently the rest of the Fantastic Four die before him, he said.
But just I just wanted to see all of it go down in flames. And I didn't get that. So I was very surprised that none of the X-Men characters showed up to get out of here. And it was that was a shock to me. It was a shock.
And with the tease that we were teasing John about with Marvels, I can't remember if we talked about Marvels on or off mic, but there that credit scene there really sets up the X-Men as we know it, like Kelsey Grammer at least,
right.
or right. So I'm wondering if we are not done with the Foxmen. I think we're gonna get new mutants like Kamala Khan.
I don't think we're done. I don't think the Fox universe is kaput.
Not until Secret Wars, at least, because it's still there. It's still hanging out there.
Still hanging there.
Yeah. And I also found out, I said in the previous one that Rob McElhenney, who he's the one from Always Sunny, and he does Wrexham with Ryan Reynolds. He was supposed to have a cameo as a TVA soldier, but apparently it got cut. Oh, I forgot to notice it, but apparently it was cut. So, wow. Yeah, so we had new characters. So Paradox, Matthew McFadden, who's we've been calling him Tom Wamsgams, his role in Succession, but he's from the comics, I know, but I haven't read those comics. Have you?
I haven't read many of those comics at all. So I don't think he's not a character that I'm really familiar with. But the little that I do know, it seems like he's a magic-based character from what I can recall. And was featured in some Doctor Strange stories, and some Midnight Sun stories from, decades ago, maybe, that I haven't read. And so this is a nice little tidbit for me to go do some research on, definitely.
Yeah.
To see how much difference there is between what we saw on screen and what is on the page.
What makes me, because Loki's obviously a magic-based character, and obviously his hands are full at the moment. Yeah. But it does make me wonder if we will see, because that's a major actor, and I wonder if we'll see him pulled back in to some other, sides of the
because he wasn't
Marvel
pruned.
Universe. Right.
They didn't prune him, so
right.
They just took him away. Mm-hmm. So maybe that portends that this character coming back in some form. Right.
Yeah. And what did you think of the other big new character, Cassandra Nova, played by Emma Corrin, who people might know her as the younger Princess Diana from The Crown.
I hope she's not gone. Because I thought she did a great job.
Yeah. I have to shout out the VFX artist who did that stuff with like her fingers in people's faces. All that was so well done.
Creepy.
Yeah,
like,
so
her
creepy.
whole vibe was creepy. You know what I mean? And I thought she was great. I want more.
And if we don't get to see her, she looks like she would have been paired with James McAvoy's Professor Xavier. And if we don't get to see that interaction, I'll be bummed.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. You know, she's just like, she was great. She was great. I thought she was a great villain. The actor who played her was really embodied the character. You know,
so different than Princess Diana.
Yeah, she just really hit the right notes for me as a villain, and just man, I was worried how they would portray her as a character, because being a twin and being taken out by your twin in the womb. So having her being pruned by the TVA because she's such an OP character, and just saying, here, you can stay here in this wasteland and do whatever the hell you want to do, because you're not doing it to people
to quote unquote real people,
people, right? You're doing it to people who are already supposed to be gone, right?
Right.
So I thought that was a nice little turn, because she is OP, as you can see in the movie. Like, they couldn't really deal with her, you know what I mean? So it was really, really cool to see.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, I hope she's back, or we get a. Well, I mean, I want the same actress, but because it sounded like she was the only one.
Yeah. Like, there's no other Cassandra Nova running around here. You know,
I mean, she's so OP that we have to think that she could survive what looks like death.
Yes, I totally agree.
They can make, I mean, as a comic book movie, they can say whatever they want. We're like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. She survived. Yay.
Makes sense.
Oh, and another concept we got introduced that I have a feeling is going to play a bigger role is anchor beings. So we get told that Logan was the anchor being of the Fox Marvel universe, which is funny on the one hand from like a real world thing, because obviously we can tell by the number of Wolverine movies that this is true. And without him, the universe dies. But now he's back, so it's not dead yet. I don't know. My question, though, about anchor beings is if, like, so Logan, he's at least a long-lived character. You know, he at least can live for centuries or whatever. But any anchor being is going to die eventually. So, and then they say, like, well, it actually unravels all parts of the timeline very slowly, but even before the actual event happens. Then wouldn't all universes constantly be unraveling? And I know from a scientific perspective, this is true. It's called entropy. But in this world, like, isn't every universe falling apart because their anchor being dies at some point? Am I overthinking this?
I don't know. I think the concept is just that, let's say this Logan, we're told that this Logan that died was the anchor being, and that's the reason that the universe is ended. It'll take thousands of years for it to end, but it is ending.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay to me in my headcanon, because it's thousands of years later. They didn't say 1,000 years. They didn't say 5,000. They didn't say 100,000. Just in some future, thousands of years from now, this universe will cease to exist.
Right. I mean, every universe is going to go through it.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So I think the anchor being thing is something that brings those universes some sort of stability, right? And then once that being is taken out, then the process of entropy begins.
Yeah. But what about like the many millennia before Logan was born?
There had to be.
I think I'm overthinking this.
No, I think there had to be another anchor being.
So you think the anchor being might? I guess maybe that can shift.
I think for each for each generation, there's an anchor being.
Do you think like the way that Logan and Wolverine that that Deadpool and Wolverine shared the burden of taking in the power of the Time Ripper to stop that whole thing? Do you think that Deadpool's now like a co-anchor being now?
No.
Who do you think the anchor being is of the 616 of our sacred timeline?
Either Iron Man or Spider-Man.
Ooh, and Iron Man's dead. Man's dead.
Which portends the end of the universe.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, but Loki's holding on.
Right? So
maybe Loki is the literal anchor being. He's holding the universe into existence.
Yeah, but maybe without those individual characters, those individual forces, what he's actually doing is just preventing what's inevitable.
Well, so I have questions, and I hope they resolve this about like how this works with the other lore we've gotten, namely incursions. So we've been told incursions can happen different ways, but especially as characters go to each other's universes, which is what we saw happening in this movie, and we've seen happening a lot. But then we also have this concept of anchor beings. So I wonder, do these two concepts interact? What kills worlds, basically? How are we getting to Secret Wars? Is it one or both of these things, or some other combination of factors?
I think it could be both of these things, because the incursions were happening before Strange even knew of them.
Right. He wasn't the first one to jump worlds.
Right.
Yeah.
And they were happening, who knows for how long at this point.
Mm-hmm.
We are just now, 616 is just now privy to them, but they've been ongoing. Like the death of the universes has been ongoing. So you could absolutely say maybe both of those things will have a role in why the incursions are, occurring. Maybe the passing of the anchor beings in different universes has led to the incursions that we are talking about in 616.
Yeah. I hope that they explicitly tie it together, something like that. And then I also have the question. They have to, right?
They have to.
And I have the question about like these other dimensions we've been seeing, like these afterlife dimensions or the Nor dimension and Ms. Marvel. How does that play? I mean, how does that like fit into the multiverse? Is that outside of, and we know it's an omniverse, so it's a multiverse of multiverses. We know that. Where are these other dimensions? Are they seem to be tied to one universe as like a flip side of one universe? Or
those other dimensions exist within those universes.
Mm-hmm. So it's just like the antimatter of that universe, so to speak. Like the upside down, to put it in Stranger Things.
Basically, yes, the reverse of the mirror, right?
Mm-hmm.
They exist within those universes. So the Nor dimension exists in this universe. The the plane Valhalla exists in this universe. Asgard, whatever you're thinking about, the planes from Moon Knight exist in this universe. They also exist in other universes.
Yeah. So there's different. There's like a multiverse of Nor dimensions also.
Exactly. So once you have this, doesn't mean that it doesn't exist somewhere else. So once you have, it's the same concept of characters, right? Once you have an Iron Man, doesn't mean that Iron Man doesn't exist in another universe. It may be slightly different, right? But the same person exists in another universe. Maybe Tony Stark in one universe didn't become Iron Man, but Tony Stark still exists in that universe.
Right, of course. Yeah.
So those dimensions still exist in those universes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I also wonder how so we have two characters now that, just like in the comics, these are the two big wall-breaking characters, Deadpool and She-Hulk. First of all, I can't wait to see them interact and break the fourth wall together and realize that each other break the fourth wall. But I don't know if you clock this as well, or if you think there's anything to it, but that camera that's on in the credit scene. There's the camera that's on Johnny Storm that's showing him telling off Cassandra when he thinks she's not listening. It looks like the Kevin robot from She-Hulk.
Oh, I didn't pick that up.
With the 3 little lenses.
I didn't pick that up. Huh.
I mean, it just not exactly the same, but to me, it was like, it looks like they're trying to make me think of Kevin the way it's designed. The overall shape.
I didn't pick it up. I didn't pick up on that. That's a nice.
But I wonder if that plays a role too, in terms of like Deadpool and She-Hulk being able to see beyond the veil of their reality, or if that becomes a complicating factor in some way, or if it's just like a fun thing the two of them do, and eventually we'll get a fun acknowledgement.
I think some of it is a fun thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think everything is going to be explained in the way, scientifically. You know what I mean?
No, no, I don't expect that. But yeah,
no, yeah, but I think some of these things, story-wise, will be just like a fun nod to one another if they ever come into contact on screen. Like, oh, you do this too? Oh, look at that. Something akin to that. Not necessarily, oh, we have this, unique power between the two of us that no one else has.
Right. And I guess, the other question is, how are the mutants going to play? And it looks like they may just be going back to the X-Men, but then, they're seeding in other mutants and maybe calling people who are not called mutants in the comics mutants as well. And I wouldn't mind that at all.
No, I think that would be a great thing. I just want, again, my whole thing was to bring these characters into the MCU proper, right? Mm-hmm. That's all that I'm asking for. And if this is a way to do that, then great. I'll be very happy. And that's the bottom line. You don't need to call them mutants. You can call them something else if you want to. But at the end of the day, bring these characters into the fold of the MCU cinematic universe. Give them a role that they deserve. Elevate some of these characters the way that they should be elevated. And don't shy away from telling the stories that are hard to tell. Because, these are complicated characters. And like John said earlier, the X-Men mean something, right? Mutants mean something to the folks who have watched, the cartoons or the previous movies or read the comics. So do them the justice that they really do deserve on screen.
Right. And do you have do you want another Deadpool and Wolverine after this, or do you just want them to? No, just want.
I don't need it. I don't need it. I can understand why there would be. Of course,
I feel like there probably will be now.
I see the reason behind why there will be, but I thought it ended well. I thought the movie did what it was supposed to do for those characters involved, and there's going to be another one.
I hope that the fact that it's so very R-rated and still so successful is going to be a good thing for the development of Blade and other darker projects,
I mean, well, fingers crossed that we still get another Blade, you know what I mean? So
you're losing faith, but
yeah, I am. We're on another writer. The story has not been greenlit. There's no director attached to it, and that's just disappointing.
I think we're definitely getting Blade, but at this point, I wouldn't blame Mahershala Ali if he says, "Okay, nice idea.
I'll pass
you in the next. I'll catch you in the next cameo fest about as the Blade that could have been." Yeah. I don't know. Fingers crossed. I don't necessarily need him to be Blade, although I think he's perfect casting. I do think there's other people out there who can be perfect casting. I do think we'll get the movie, but I understand you're losing faith.
I am. I've lost faith, and that I will get to see another Blade within the next 3, 4, even 5 years.
I hope that. They still say like 2025. That's clearly not happening. I'm hoping for 2026.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. And hopefully the success of this movie will make them be like, you know what? Maybe we can let Blade be a little more violent and weird.
I mean, they should. They should.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the first, the Wesley Snipes movies were violent and weird. Why shouldn't
and that helped
MCU
make Marvel.
Exactly. So why shouldn't the MCU version be the same?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to sanitize, Disney-fied, Baby Blade.
Baby Blade.
I don't want that. No, thank you.
Now I want a Baby Blade variant,
Hard
just
pass.
like in a not in the Blade movie, but some future film. They have all the Blade variants. Baby Blade. Okay. Well, anything else you want to say about the film before we wrap it up?
No, just I enjoyed it, and
mm-hmm.
I can't say that I went into it thinking that I would enjoy it as much as I did. To be honest, so my expectation for where I would land on it was, very muted. But I enjoyed it. So yeah, take it from someone who is not a fan of the character, but I'm a fan of this movie.
Okay. Well, that's as ringing an endorsement as someone can give. Yeah, it was a fun watch. I think that it's good for getting people reinvigorated in the franchise. And also, I think that they probably are like tying up some things and seeding some other things. It shows, I think, that they know where they're going now. I hope, at least when in terms of pointing towards these main two Avengers films. I do have that feeling now that they're like, okay, we have a clear path. We know what we're doing with these films.
Yeah, I think, like you said, we got the Robert Downey Jr. news a day after the release of the film. So,
yeah, can't be an accident. Yeah.
It's not an accident, definitely. So, it's there's a plan in place, and we'll have to wait to see how the plan works out. But if this movie was part of the plan, then that portends good things.
Yeah, and you and I will be back talking about the MCU, at least with weekly coverage of Agatha all along.
Yeah.
Now, that first trailer looks good, right?
Yeah, looking forward to that. Lean into the horror stuff, man.
Yes, please. Give me the horror. Give me the demon witch or whatever it was.
lean into it. Just go full board on that stuff. I'm cool with that. I want that.
And you like the comics character too, right?
Yeah, I like Agatha. She's a different character in the...
What's weird is I've actually read her in Strange comics, but I haven't read her in Wanda comic. I mean, not much.
Oh, okay.
Like more in Strange comics than Wanda comics, at least.
I mean, she hasn't been in the recent,
because I went back further. Yeah.
Yeah, she hasn't been in the recent Scarlet Witch comics at all.
Yeah. Yeah, and of course, we will do one-shots for any animated series that may or may not be released this year. Next weekend is D23, which is like the big Disney Plus day. So I'm guessing we didn't get any TV announcements at Comic Con. I'm guessing they're saving TV announcements for that, and maybe like these animated series about like the Spider-Man series and the Wakanda series and Marvel Zombies. Maybe we'll finally find out when they're releasing. But yeah, we'll do one-shots for those for sure, right?
Yeah, definitely. And, we'll be here for all of that stuff. And just, since we're talking about, Comic Con, DC, where are you?
You and I we've been mapping out the upcoming DC releases.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Allegedly is a lot.
Allegedly.
Right? So James Gunn, where you at?
Yeah.
Where you at?
Yeah, they unveiled a new logo. That was the one announcement I saw.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. We've got you and I we decided we're going to cover the Folie à the new Joker movie.
Yes.
And we've got Penguin coming out. I think maybe we'll do a one shot for that, but I think we might be doing that. Hopefully, plans are on our new feed.
On our new feed, so pay attention to that coming up. And just again with the DC stuff, the conceit is that people know these characters. Right? They know Batman, they know Superman, know Wonder Woman, gets part of, the culture. So we don't have to do much. DC, right. James Gunn, you got to do a lot. you have to do a lot. And
right.
These,
they don't need to repeat like the Superman origin story, please.
No, I don't think they are. I don't think.
No,
thank goodness they're
and not for Fantastic Four either.
Yeah, thank goodness for that as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's this built-in conceit that everybody knows who these characters are. So we're doing the movie. So yeah, here we go. No, you got to put in the groundwork to get people invested in what you're doing. And it has been very lackluster for me so far, this James Gunn era. As far I know, there's no shows. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about give the fans something to want to stick around for the eventual movies and TV shows that you're doing. And I think they're doing a piss poor job of that currently. So step up your game. Step up your game.
Yeah. Okay, that's a good note to end on. So we'll be back to talk about those things. But in the meantime, of course, there's going to be lots of coverage on the Lorehounds. Oh, why is everything playing twice?
Because it's so good. That's why.
It's so good.
Play it twice because it's so nice.
There is, of course, ongoing House of the Dragon coverage. One more episode left. You can also, by the time this is out, there will also be in the feed, which includes an extra hot takes episode for those who are subscribers or have the House of the Dragon season pass. You can get that season pass on Supercast, and you can also subscribe on Patreon for just the general whole kit and caboodle. You get early ad-free episodes, and you get some extra episodes also like our second breakfast, where we talk about how the sausage gets made, basically. And we also do a monthly movie podcast called 11Z's. This month we're doing Karate Kid. So yeah, you'll find all those links in the link tree in the show notes, and also links to the other podcasts on the network. Now, a few of them are on break, but you will also find the Star Wars Canon Timeline podcast, which is moi. Now, actually, the Acolyte wrap-up will be out before this one. You'll see it on the main Lorehounds feed, and that's also on the Canon Padawan Supercast feed for anyone signed up for that. And there's going to be on the Star Wars Canon Timeline podcast, I'm doing an episode with Marilyn where we're talking about canon myths of the Old Republic. Lots of Sith stuff, a Flood story, a werewolf story. We also have an episode coming up next month, I think, with Jean and I talking about Phase 2 of the High Republic. We've been reading the comics and all that fun stuff.
Good stuff.
Yeah. And on We'll Shift Dust, Luke and I are putting out, probably shortly after this episode comes out, Luke and I's reactions to Comic Con news about Silo Season 2, which we found out is going to be starting November 15th. So you can look for that on the We'll Shift Dust feed. Awesome. And on the We'll Shift Dust book club, I'm putting out this week. By the time this comes out, there will already be an episode, the third shift book, and we're going to be picking up coverage there because Silo is coming faster than we expected. And the other affiliates are on a break. We'll obviously keep you posted, and you can go through those backlogs as well. You'll find all of that again in the link tree in the show notes. Anything you're looking forward to in general, Jean?
Everything.
You
know me, I'm looking forward to everything, so really, all the MCU stuff that's coming this fall, totally looking forward to it. I'm about to watch when the Batman animated series comes out on Amazon. I'll get into that as well. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff coming up.
I started the new Kite Man series.
Oh, okay. Yeah. How do you like it?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like as... It's a spin-off of the Harley Quinn animated series, for those who don't know, which is a very rated R animated series, and I love that series. And this one, I love it because I love the Harley Quinn one, but I think it still needs to find its tone, its place. But Bane, who's a very popular character in the Harley Quinn series, plays a big role in this.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Great.
Yeah. I recommend it to those who are fans.
I finished the first season of Harley, which is really, really good.
Yeah, you gotta catch up on Harley Quinn first, because Kite Man plays a role in that series, and you need his whole story to set up this. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to, like, it's already been such a banger year for TV and film, and there's so much coming out at the end of the year. Like, you're going to be doing weekly coverage of Dune, weekly coverage of Agatha, weekly coverage of Silo, and we've got new Silo and Bullshit Dust, of course. Yeah, we've got Rings of Power. We've got, oh my gosh, so much stuff coming out. We got a new Star Wars show. Yeah. We will get to all of that. But for now, we want to thank the people who help us get there. We're going to give our shout outs to our Discord server boosters. And of course, no, I won't forget the music. I uploaded some mystery music as per usual, as John and I have been doing. I uploaded these from the Epic folder because I felt like that fit with the superhero theme. So let's see what we've got. All right. Thank you to our Discord server boosters, Gnarls, Aaron K., Tiller the Thriller, Dork of the Ninjas, Duve71, Captain Gingy 56, and Athena Ajalea. You are all heroes to us. As are especially our lore masters who make all of this possible. Samartian, Michael G, Michelle E, David W, Brian P, SC, Peter OH, Bettina W, Adam S, Nancy M, Duve71, Brian 8063, and of course we're going to keep going.
Keep going.
Frederick H, Sarah L, Gareth C, Eric F, Matthew M, Sarah M, DJ Miwa, Andra B, Kwang Yu, Jedi Bob, Nathan T, Alex V, Aaron T, Sub-Zero, Aaron K, Dally V, Mothership 61, Narus, Kathy W, Stuart B, Jeffrey B, Elisa U, and as always, the eternal last, Adrian. Thank you all so much.
Thank you all.
And may you all have a lovely, I don't know, what's a Deadpool tie-in joke I can make? Yes, go sweet.
I mean, that's a lie.
May you all have a stiff one.
Oh God. Out of all of the ones.
The Lorehounds podcast is produced and published by The Lorehounds. You can send questions and feedback and voicemails at thelorehounds.com/contact. Get early and ad-free access to all Lorehounds podcasts at patreon.com/thelorehounds. Any opinions stated are ours personally and do not reflect the opinion of or belong to any employers or other entities.